Monday of the year, ladies and gentlemen. It does not get any better than Super Bowl Victory Monday. Let's have ourselves a fun day, a fun week. We're turning this into February is going to be a victory month for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is correct. Patrick LeVon Mahomes down 10, right where we want him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Mic'd Up. Thank you so much for joining us on a special Victory Monday edition. Jake LeVon, Fulton Caster with you on this edition of Mic'd Up. We got you until 3 o'clock. We are going to hear from Andy Reid. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes. We are going to hear from a ton of Chiefs players, plus your thoughts on what was going through your mind yesterday at halftime when the Kansas City Chiefs were down by 10 and Patrick Mahomes' ankle, we didn't know what that ankle was going to be. But never fear, because the Kansas City Chiefs offense showed up and put a clown suit on Jonathan Gannon and the Eagles defense. Let's get to it. I want to hear your thoughts. Let us know. 785-272-9429. Let us know. I want to know what you were thinking. Did you lose hope? Did you lose hope? Did you think that this was different? I need to know. Let us know. From the Big O Tires text line, Chiefs are world champions. Mitch is the absolute best. How about those?
Chiefs.
That's right. I need to know. Let us get into it. We've got so much to get to. But I hope Chiefs fans realize what occurred in the game yesterday. We have 15. We have got 15. We have Patrick LeVon Mahomes II, and nobody else does. The Eagles played an incredible game. They played a great game. Jalen Hurts was terrific in that game. He was outstanding.
I think he has earned himself $150 million guaranteed.
But they don't have 15.
They don't?
The Eagles led by 10 points at halftime. If you lead in the Super Bowl by 10 points at halftime or more, teams are 26-1. The only other guy to have that be a 1, Tom Brady. Patrick LeVon Mahomes is the only quarterback in Super Bowl history to have two 10-point comebacks in the Super Bowl. The only one. The Eagles scored 35 points. That is the most points scored in a loss in Super Bowl history. They scored 35 and lost. You want to know why? They don't have 15. Teams that were scoring 35 plus points or more in the conference title games and the Super Bowl were 39-0. They didn't have 15.
Nope.
The Eagles converted on 11 of 18 third downs and 2 of 2 on fourth downs and had the ball for 35 minutes. And they had lost. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in NFL Super Bowl history to produce 4 touchdowns and lost because he's not 15. Every single box analyst before the game forgot who was quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Every single one of them. Every single one of them said, I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles. Every one of them. All 10. There were 10 of them. And 7 of them are in the Hall of Fame. They're supposed to know the game. And they went against the best player on the field. They went against 15. The Eagles in the game threw for under 300 yards, rushed for 3 touchdowns, had 35 minutes of time of possession, converted over 60% of their third downs, went for it on 4th down, and converted them all. No team had done all of that in a game since the Bengals in 1989. They won the game 61-7. The Eagles lost because they didn't have number 15. I cannot stress to you enough as to we can discuss this the entire game, the entire week, the entire offseason. When you have the best player and it's not even close, and he is one of the greatest of all time, because he is now, there are only 2 other people in the NFL history who can say that they have 2 regular season MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and win 2 Super Bowls. Their names? Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and now Patrick Mahomes. End of list. End of list. He is him. He is that dude. He is that guy. He's the sole reason the Kansas City Chiefs were able to do this. Are there other impacts? Yes. Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, having Travis Kelce. Yes, all of that makes sense. Every single one of them makes sense. But didn't the Chiefs have Andy Reid? Didn't the Chiefs have Steve Spagnuolo? Didn't the Chiefs have Travis Kelce? Well, they didn't have Steve Spagnuolo then, but you get my point.
Yeah.
When Alex Smith was the quarterback,
They did.
they did. He is different. Do you realize? This is how I remember the game. I look back at this and somebody said, wow, what will you remember most of this game? And you know how I'm going to remember this game? I'm going to call this the 1 incompletion game, because that's what it was. In the second half of the Super Bowl, when the Chiefs were down by 10 points against the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes went 13 of 14 throwing the football with 1 incompletion, and it was a throwaway. They did not punt. They scored on every possession in the second half. That, to me, is how I remember this game. This was the game that Patrick Mahomes took over. He had 1 incompletion, and he threw it away in the entire second half. And they hung 24 points on the defense that had the most sacks, the number 1 pass defense. They don't have a weakness. They dominated everybody. That is how I'm going to remember this game. And it's a shame that all of the NFL analysts didn't listen to the players. This is what Stephon Diggs told Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen show on Friday when he was asked, who are you picking?
Going to try to slow down Patrick Mahomes, and that's always really, really tough to do.
Yes.
So I'm probably go with Kansas City.
You will go with Kansas City.
Yeah.
Most everybody sitting in these chairs has been saying Eagles.
Yeah, because I like the Eagles. You know, everybody likes the Eagles, but I also feel like they haven't played Patrick Mahomes. I've played Patrick Mahomes.
He said, they ain't played Patrick Mahomes. I've played Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. Embrace it. Enjoy it. You have the Michael Jordan of your era. In 5 years as a starting quarterback, Patrick Mahomes has never had fewer than 12 wins in the regular season, is a 2-time MVP, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time All-Pro, has not played a road playoff game, has been to 3 Super Bowls. He is that guy, and it starts right there. Like, I hope you all hopped on that money line at the half. I did. I tweeted out, I said, the only saving grace I have right now is that when the Chiefs are down by 10 points, they have a winning record when they're down by 10. The Chiefs are 14-10 when down by 10 points or more. That means, folks, that they have a better chance of coming back and winning than they do of losing. And I hope you had a chance, because that is what we like to call in the biz a money-making opportunity. And you could have gotten that at plus 210. Patrick Mahomes, plus 210? Sign me up. My heart is happy. My wallet is fat right now. And I am just absolute. I didn't go to bed until 1:30.
I'm proud of you.
Fulton, I just kept watching highlights again from last night.
See, I was
need to
also up late,
know-
but I wasn't watching highlights. I was driving back to Topeka, then doing work, and then eventually falling asleep.
I want everybody to know. Hit us up on the Big O Tires text line. Terry Bradshaw wanted to change his pick because they all picked the Eagles. Yeah, he wanted to change his pick because he goes, crap, everybody going with one team. I know what that means. But he picked them to begin with. He picked them to begin with, no question about it.
This game, it's hard to quantify it at this point. I've been trying to quantify it.
It isn't. We've got 15. Don't try to make it rocket science.
It's not quantifying the game in and of itself. It's quantifying my own feelings of the game and during it. Because, we talk about this and being down 10 at half. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and said I was 100% confident, but I sat there, I was watching with my buddy, and I go, yeah, they're down 10, but the Chiefs got a winning record when down 10 with Mahomes. My entire thought was, I was, would see the clips of Pat walking back, and I'm like, ankle seems good. He's walking. They'll tape it up. Got extra long halftime. My entire thought was, they get a touchdown to start the second half. We got ball game.
It's a 3-point game.
And they did. And the moment they got that touchdown, I was like, folks, it's time to party. Then when the defense held the Eagles to a field goal to make it 27-21, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get interesting. And then the Chiefs surgically go up 28-27. They held a fourth quarter lead. Like, the minute they had a fourth quarter lead, you're like, it's going to be hard for Philly to win this game. And the defense, I know we're gonna look at so much of this as the week goes on and as the month goes on. Yeah, the defense gave up 35 points. This is also one of the best offenses in the NFL in Philly. They also forced Philly to have to go for 18 third downs. And yeah, they converted them. And that's a bummer. Like, I get it. And some of them were long conversions, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 11. But also some of those really long conversions were just elite plays. The 3rd and 14 from Hurts to Goddard. What are you supposed to do? You have two guys there, and the ball was tipped as it got to Goddard.
Jalen Hurts was awesome.
Jalen Hurts had a 3rd and 9 conversion where he rolled out, went right, sprinted back left, threw across his body, and threw a dime for completion. Like, the Chiefs defense did what they could. It's also really hard to defend an offense that you know is going to go for it on 4th down. Like, when they're in those 3rd and 5s, I was talking to my friend about it. 3rd and 5 for the Eagles is 2nd and 5. It's just back-to-back 2nd and 5s, which changes everything that you're trying to do. So, like, the defense did the best that they honestly could. But they tried. And more importantly, they only gave up 11 points in the second half.
Yeah.
When the chips were down, they did what they needed to do. And more importantly, if your name wasn't Jalen Hurts, you could not run that football. Miles Sanders couldn't run it. Kenneth Gainwell couldn't run it. Boston Scott couldn't run it. Quarterback run is just hard to deal with the general. And then, the Eagles only hit 2 big plays all night. And one was a busted coverage to Devontae Smith where L'Jarius Sneed got caught with a hand in the cookie jar, which the touchdown came, so it didn't matter. They were almost bailed out of the fact that Devontae Smith lost his balance and had to step out of the one. And then the A.J. Brown catch was Trent McDuffie was there and then just lost the ball in the sky, and it finished. Also, that was a hell of a throw from Jalen Hurts.
And I wouldn't even say the defense did what you were hoping they would do. They got 2 stops in the second half, and 2 stops. One, they forced a punt.
Which I want to talk about that as this week goes, because Nick Sirianni, we need to have words.
The other punt, or the other stop was the field goal. And to me, that one is more because when they punted it, I understand that punt.
I don't. Given the Eagles' makeup, it is 4th and 2. It is 4th and 2 with your team and your consistent makeup, and you are down by 1 in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl. And more importantly, everyone always wants to talk about the analytics that they don't take account into game flow. Nick Sirianni, your defense was getting shredded like Swiss cheese, and your defensive coordinator was being pantsed like a 12-year-old on the school grounds. And you were sitting there going, you know what I'm going to do with my team that I know can get 2 yards, but you know what? I'm going to give that ball back to the other team while they're still up by a point in the 4th quarter, the biggest game of the year, because I think my defensive coordinator might finally stop getting treated like a clown show.
I'm more surprised. I'm not on that one. The reason the one I am is that it was 4th and 6 and you were in plus territory. Yeah. I thought that is the one that they would go for.
With that distance and situation,
well, they'd gone for it on 4th and 5 earlier. What's 1 yard in that situation?
But in that game flow, that scenario, 4th and 6 is a bit longer, and you're getting yourself to increase your lead to 6. I know you're still not going up by full possession.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
That to me though is more understandable. Yeah. It is 4th and 2. You are the best short yardage team in football, and it is not close. It is not close. And more importantly, it's one thing to kick to increase a lead and still try to give yourself a chance. You are down by a point. Your defense is getting shredded. And again, I'll just once again reiterate, you're the best short yardage team in football. I'm glad they didn't do it, but
we'll get to play design versus
oh boy, was that good.
Play design versus game management, game design and what you do leading into the game and your adjustments that you make. From our YouTube comments, you can check us out on YouTube. Go to Sports on 580 on YouTube. Go to YouTube, Google Sports on 580. Really simple, really easy. You can head to our website as well, 580wibw.com. From the comments, I wasn't worried. We have Patrick Mahomes. That is definitely the case. I was a little nervous at halftime, but I was praying a few times. No question. Also from the Big O Tires text line, switch from beer to whiskey in the second half. Took one for the team because I'm feeling it today. That is what I'm talking about. Let us know what you did, because I did the same thing. I was rocking my 2019 Super Bowl 54 hoodie. I was like, good vibes. We won the Super Bowl in this, okay? At halftime, I said, nope. I switched my hat to a different Chiefs hat, and we need better juju. I need even more juju. Not Smith.
When you got a lot of juju in the second half.
Did get a lot of juju. What we needed my 2015 World Series hoodie. I put my 2015 World Series hoodie on. I said this was the greatest feeling that I had in my entire life sports-wise. I got to get them. And even to the point where my wife goes, wait a minute, you changed your hoodie. I said, yeah, we got to do something. Let me know what you did. Let me know what you did to help the team, because we all helped the team if we change things up at halftime. We'll get a quick weekend's takeaways and fails, and then we will get to the unsung heroes, the X Factor, coming up at the bottom of the hour. fail over the weekend is the turf at in Arizona. I did not think it would be a big deal. They brought in the king of sod, or the god of sod, George Toma.
He may need to retire. No offense.
But to me, they went with a different grass, like a new grass. Like
they did, and then it was some kind of turf grass combo, which makes it even worse. Like,
why would you switch it up at the beginning for the biggest game?
I'm just going to say the same thing that I have been saying for, honestly, maybe since week one. You are all billion-dollar organizations.
Just
multi-billion-dollar. Just put in real grass. None of this half stuff. I don't even need to be rolled out. Just install grass.
Why is that?
It is not hard.
Why did they switch up the grass? Like, I don't know. Now I understand.
I don't know, brother.
I understand the paint. Like, here's the thing. When you put paint on the field, that paint is slippery.
Yeah.
But that's not a surprise. I mean,
Yeah.
we've known that from Butker's mentioned that many a time. Travis Kelce has mentioned that. Tommy Townsend. The paint on the field is slicker than the grass.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if you're the NFL.
No.
You
No, I
got to
agree.
be better than that. And that's very simple to correct.
Agreed.
That's the biggest fail of the weekend. Coming up next, who is the X Factor? Well, there were 5 of them. This is the best Monday of the year.
I'm definitely feeling good on this Monday.
Oh my goodness, we need to throw
Shout
in
out 2020 Tones.
we need to throw in a little Pitbull, Mr. 305, because we are all having a good time. I just want to point that out.
We are.
We are all having a good time. We got a lot to get to. Watching the game yesterday, I sent a text to my former teammate, Super Bowl champ, Kerry Williams, because he played defensive back for 10 years in the NFL. And I sent him a text that said, Kerry, is that a hold? You're a DB. You played in the played in the Super Bowl, my friend. And he gave me an answer.
Okay.
And he's going to come on the show, top of the 1 o'clock hour here in about 30 minutes. And we're going to talk, we'll talk a little shop on the Super Bowl in general, what's it like playing in it. But, you know, the DB in that situation, we will get to that coming up today because I view it as that is a no doubt hold. That is a hold that they would call in the Jardine versus Chase Middle School game.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hold that they would call in the Washburn Rural versus Hayden game. That is a hold that they would call in the Washburn versus Emporia game.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hold that they would call at KU versus K-State.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hold that they would call on week 4, Chiefs versus the Broncos. That's a hold.
And this is pretty much all I'm going to say on the hold, because if you're a person distilling this game down officiating, to steal a line from Brendan on the post-game reaction show last night, you can still watch on our Sports on 580 YouTube page. Go touch grass. If the reason thing you're complaining about is officiating, get a new line, loser. But what I will say is this. I am mad at this whole thing because Fox and the other major sports outlets that have been putting out most like the images and the clips, everything, are not showing the correct part of the play.
They are not.
And that is propagating that this being touchy. I had a friend text me as I was getting ready to head home last night, and he goes, man, that was a great game, but that hold was so bad. And I mean, it was like, no, because I knew that he did not notice where it was. Because when I explained it, I was like, and it's not, because no one showed the right replay. The hold is not as he's going upfield. That's what they showed, and that's what Greg Olson was complaining about the entire time.
He also held then too. But
yeah, and I will agree with anybody there. That was a lighter hold. That was also still a hold. The hold they called, though, is if you can go back, and there's plenty of clips and plenty of replay, on the pivot of the whip route that Juju's running there, James Bradbury gets a handful of jersey clear as day. And James Bradbury himself told you, the NFLs will tell you, everybody tell you, the minute the NFL referees see jersey being tugged, that they see clear that a jersey's hung on to, flag coming out.
It's a hold.
Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
I will say this. The reaction, I spent a good 15 minutes on Philly Twitter And man,
They were in a bad place
they were
last
in a
night.
bad place.
And I get it, guys. Your team blew a 10-point lead. You lost a close game. They were down bad last night.
I get if you're down bad, but if you are this anchor on NBC Sports in Philly, on NBC Sports TV,
of Jalen Hurts, and then to get to a 3rd and 8 on the 15-yard line and an incomplete pass, and Carl Shepard's team with a bull call. I mean, utter complete bull is unbelievable. It's inexcusable. You don't make a call right then and there. You don't let the game be decided by the officiating. And yes, it's true. The officials go both.
I want to give that buddy a newsflash. If also, I will add this to my officiating part here today. If you also, your argument to why that flag shouldn't have been thrown is just, well, you don't throw that at that time, your argument is completely invalid. Time of game does not dictate when a flag is called. Also, buddy, control yourself. The other part is you didn't lose because the refs threw a flag there. You lost because your number one defense blew a 10-point lead and got shredded like a piece of Swiss cheese.
I laughed. That
was so funny. I laughed. I saw that and I just chuckled. So funny.
I always find let the players make the decision. Like don't make the game decision. Let the players make it. James Bradbury did. He decided to grab Juju.
James openly admitted that not only, he said, I grabbed him. I made the conscious decision and said, I was hoping to let it slide.
Yeah.
The players did decide the game. The player did make the play. He did an illegal thing that caused the penalty. I hate officiating arguments. They're very annoying. And I tweeted this last night, and I'm very upset about this. That such a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
The Eagles deserve to be praised today.
Yeah.
I'll make fun of their defense, and Ben Johnson kind of getting clown showed. He's also facing the best play caller and play designer in the NFL. It happens. And they're vaunted Patrick getting 0 sacks, and we're going to get to that here. But that Eagles offense deserves a bunch of praise today, and they're not getting it. And it upsets me because, Jalen, not really because, my team won and I care about that more. But, Jalen Hurts proved he belonged last night because he went toe-to-toe with the best quarterback in football. He lost because that's what happens when you go against the GOAT. But that kid went toe-to-toe. And yet people are going to sit here and go, well, officiating. No, you are discrediting a beautiful game of football.
From the Big O Tires text line, I sent a text. If Mahomes is good for the second half, we're still good. If he's not, we're in deep trouble. Yeah, that's exactly what I said as well. That's the same thing. From the Big O Tires text line, when my mom stayed in the kitchen, the Chiefs started winning, so we made her stay in the kitchen. That's what I'm talking. That mom, the true MVP. Mom taking one for the team. Fantastic. Oh my goodness, that is terrific. My X Factors, Tony, Pacheco, Sanders, Moore, and Bolton. Those are the X Factors according to the Big O Tires text line.
Some good choices. Those guys all showed out.
Also, 3rd and 8 early in the game, obvious DPI on Juju drive ended. If they throw the flag there, then maybe the Chiefs get a touchdown. Correct. Calls go both ways. Quit whining, national and media and Eagles fans. Here's the thing that I look about the entire aspect of this is the reason why Greg Olsen was so entrenched on you don't call that is he was a fan at that moment. If you don't have any stake in the game, you didn't want that game to end like that because as a fan, you don't want a penalty to be the difference in the game because if there isn't, the Chiefs kick the field goal.
Eagles have about a minute 40, a minute 35.
So it would have been a lot more exciting. And I get that. And that's why you had Greg Olsen and Ken Burkhardt go, I don't know if that's such a great idea when every other official, Carl Cheffers and everybody there said, it was a blatant hold and you can see the hold. So that's the reason why. Eagles fans don't like it because, well, they feel like the refs ended the game for them. They didn't. James Bradbury did. So that's my whole thing on that. And you ready? Jalen Hurts was awesome. He was awesome. He wasn't good as Mahomes because here's the thing. He fumbled the football.
Yeah, there's also just a play where he forgot how to hold on to a football. And it led directly to 7 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happens.
That's the
Mahomes
difference.
didn't commit a turnover.
Didn't commit a turnover. Yeah.
Like,
actually had a QBR of 96.9.
that's really good.
The
For
best
those of
you
you
can
that
get is
don't,
100.
that's for those to know. QBR's max is 100.
Yeah. He had 96.9.
Jesus,
There you go.
Lord, he was so good.
So keep
Oh,
them
so
coming.
fun, man.
What did you do at halftime? Did you switch up the mojo? I need to know.
No. Were you like me and did nothing but just sit there and contemplate the universe?
Yeah.
I changed nothing up, but I cannot lie. I was like, until like for about the first 10, 12 minutes, I probably was doing what Aaron Rodgers was doing in a dark room of just sitting there wondering how the universe works.
So he was in the room last night.
I don't know. Maybe he was.
Fair.
If he did, he missed a great game, Aaron.
Don't
What if
worry.
someone had like a radio outside and was going to break the rules and just play a rural radio feed, blasting the audio in?
Want to get to the X factors in this game. And to me, there's one X factor, if you want to call it, or if you want to break it down even more, there were 5. And they were Orlando Brown, Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Andrew Wiley, throwing Lucas Niang.
Yeah, we had a Lucas Niang sighting, and he did good.
Yeah. Those 5 guys, the Chiefs offensive line should get all the flowers in the world for the game that they had. We had been telling you this entire week leading up to it. The Eagles have not seen an offense like the Chiefs. And they had, and it showed.
No, yeah.
But the other thing is that the Chiefs offensive line, if they could give Mahomes time. I thought Jeff Kerr pointed out on Twitter, friend of the show, covers the Eagles. He said a lot of the things that people, or one of the big storylines that nobody talked about this week, the Chiefs O-line's been playing excellent. And Orlando Brown showed in the postgame what they were feeling as an offensive unit. And what they were feeling were in a very, I can't say it because I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, there's a word we can't use here.
But someone asked about the game, and Orlando Brown said this: 0 sacks. Put that on a expletive shirt.
And Orlando, I want you to know I'm contemplating putting 0 sacks on a t-shirt just for you.
If there is any t-shirt company, and if you find out how to put 0 sacks on a t-shirt and make it look cool, I will buy it, because that right there, the whole week it was the Eagles are better in the trenches. The Eagles have the dominant offensive line. It might be one of the best offensive lines in the country. The Eagles defensive line, no one has ever had 10 sacks by 4 different players. The Eagles defensive line might be one of the greatest in NFL history. The Eagles defensive line literally walks on water. They are so good. And they had 0 sacks in the game. The Chiefs offensive line had 26 rushing attempts for 158 yards. Folks, that is a good for a 6.1 yard per carry and 1 touchdown.
They were mauling
against the defensive line that Hassan Reddick is going to win MVP. Hassan Reddick, what are they going to do with Hassan? Andrew Wiley said, I got your Hassan Reddick right here.
Yeah, speaking of Andrew Wiley, if any of you listeners out there have Twitter and have the old Twitter device, I recommend popping on over to it and going to a lovely little Twitter account that is of a good man named Josh Cohen, covers the NFL for CBS Sports, the NFL and CBS. It's @JCohen_NFL. I recommend going to that because he has a 2-minute and 2-second highlight clip of Andrew Wiley and his performance on Sunday. Andrew Wiley made Hassan Reddick his child. There are 3 different clips in there of Andrew Wiley burying Hassan Reddick into the dirt. There is a play in there that I was talking to Dan for the show and everything got started here today. And I told him there's a play where I saw Hassan Reddick put 3 different pass rush moves on Andrew Wiley and none of them worked. And I just started laughing to myself as I watched it. That clip's in there. Like, Andrew Wiley, we talked about it. It was like he's going to need help, going to need some chips, going to need some extra pass protection. No. Andrew Wiley just literally sat there, was like, hold my beer, I got this. And he neutralized a 16.5 sack speed rusher
crushed it, man.
for 4 quarters. Orlando Brown, a man that has taken a lot of criticism, not just from, and Jake smartly, for those of you not watching on the YouTube live stream, hand raised right in the air, as he should.
I'll eat some crow.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown was absolutely nails when
Yeah,
it
he was.
mattered most. The
Yeah.
last 5 games of the year,
Yeah.
and in these 3 posts, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. Guess what? My on second thought is, well, they should move on from Orlando Brown. No, what they should do is at least franchise tag
At
him.
minimum, he's getting tagged. You at minimum, he's your left tackle for one more year because, or like
He got
all
it done.
year.
I'll admit
It
that.
was all year. We talked about this Chiefs offensive line. We're like, the interior's great with Tony and Humphrey and Smith. They're so good. It was like the tackles are the weakness. Can they hold up with the tackles?
Mm-hmm.
Wiley and Brown have given out the most pressures by tackles this year. They were 1 and 2. That was the whole thing of like, can they stand up? I don't know. We talked about Orlando Brown, maybe being the first player who actually like lost the contract year. It was undefeated. It basically still is. Because when it mattered most,
He was huge.
Orlando Brown looked at those pass rushes and said, you ain't touching my quarterback. And did he have a couple reps where it was a little dicey and he got held out by Mahomes? Of course. But that's what a great offensive line does. It's not that they stonewall every play. It's that most plays they stonewall or help, or they move the rush in such a way that your quarterback can then help you. And that was all of Sunday night.
And they got
beautiful.
And they opened up holes. It was awesome to see what they did. That they are now, there are other guys who stepped up. Nick Bolton,
of course,
had an excellent game. The defensive line for Kansas City did not get hardly any pressure.
Nope, there's only 1 total sack in this whole game.
But what they did do was keep Nick Bolton and Willie Gay clean. And that was a huge deal.
And for what it's worth,
yes,
on one of those later plays in the fourth quarter that forced a Jalen Hurts throwaway, I believe on the drive that ended to the 4th and 2 punt, a play got blown up. He didn't get a sack. Christian split a double and blew up a play that forced Hurts to scramble, couldn't survey, throw it away. It does not come up in the box score as no more than an incomplete pass. But it was an incomplete pass generated by Chris Jones and that defensive line blowing up a play.
Yeah.
They did what they could. Like, there are so many guys that stepped up in this game. The offensive line is the biggest for me because that was so much of ours and the national storyline. The Eagles had 70 sacks this year, 15 more than second place Kansas City. They had 0, a goose egg. And it's not just because some guys got hurt. It's not because, the Chiefs got lucky or Mahomes was running for his life and just never got caught. No, it's because those 5 guys looked at that challenge and said, bet, we gonna show you. And they did.
If you're out there and you have a t-shirt company, find a way to make it gotta look cool.
It gotta look kind of cool.
I'm not just gonna wear it if it just says 0 sacks.
I might.
But find a way to make it look cool. And I'm telling you this right now, for the parade on Wednesday, I need
Orlando Brown to have one made.
Yes.
I need Orlando. If somehow you are listening, also, first off, thank you for listening to the show. They're probably traveling right now, but I'm gonna still say it. Either way, I do though need, as pretty much every player of the Chiefs is going to be drunk out of their mind on Wednesday, which is just also the enjoyable part of the parade, seeing those guys really let loose. I need Orlando Brown to have a shirt that does say 0 sacks on it. I need it.
0
I need it in my life.
Fantastic. But yeah, I look at the offensive line was the biggest X factor. Nick Bolton played great. I thought
he did a good job.
Pacheco ran really well, and McKinnon, but that's a combination of the offensive line with the running game. McKinnon falling down at the 1 yard line.
Smart man.
Very smart.
And he was McKinnon anytime touchdown. I get why you would be mad in that situation, but that is a genius play by Jet. Also, quick shout out to Leo Chanel. Guy played more snaps than he ever had. There was one completion to Dallas Goedert that Leo did everything he could. That ball was grabbed around his arm, and Leo just barely couldn't pop it out. That's just a good play to Goddard. But Leo Chanel getting downhill making some plays.
How many plays was he in?
I don't know if the snap counts are out yet. I would like to think they would be.
It is. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me pull it up real quick.
Because he had to be almost the most of the year, if not very close.
Leo Chanel on defense played Only 24% of the snaps. It felt like a lot more. It really, really
Yeah.
did. We'll get a quick timeout. We'll finish off this noon hour. And as one texter said, the halftime show is never fun when your team is down 10 going into halftime. We'll get to that coming up next. The party will continue here on Mic'd Up. We appreciate everyone stopping by. Let us know your thoughts. There is, from the Big O Tires text line, there is someone going to be making a T-shirt. On Twitter, it said it's coming. So I'm excited. I will be
buying this.
I agree with the Big O Tires texter about the halftime show. I was not into it because I was in my feelings. Okay, I was in my feelings.
Fair.
So I understand how I might look at this halftime show differently. To me, the halftime show was a great concert, not a great show.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense?
I get you.
To me, there are concerts and then there are performances.
Yeah.
Rihanna's got hits on hits on hits. People don't realize she's got a, by the way,
just a Rolodex of bangers.
Expletive Have My Money coming out number 1.
That's plus 1,500 for those that could bet on it.
Wow.
What a long shot. We love to see it.
So I love it because she's got so many hits. Like Rihanna's first hit was when I was a senior in high school. So like college Jake and all of my college friends, you know, male or female, she's got hits. She's got toe tappers, man. They're terrific.
Yeah. Enjoyable.
But it wasn't, you know, like a performance. Does that
No,
make sense?
I
I'm not
agree.
saying it was bad.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
But people saying,
Yeah.
it was just like the set was really cool where she started
The
up, like
set
in the
was
middle. That
fun
was
and
awesome.
things like that. Some of the camera work and shots were phenomenal work by the camera crew.
Just didn't
But
have.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
feel you. I feel you.
It was-
No, I do.
It was good.
Yeah, it
But
was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Epic. Now that I look back on it, maybe it'll be better. But at the time, I was in my feelings. Coming up, we're going to talk with Super Bowl champ, former DB Kerry Williams. Coming up next. The Victory Monday of all Victory Mondays continues on this edition of Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton. Thank you so much for joining us, Chiefs fans. Let us know what you were thinking during the game and what you were doing at halftime. Were you watching Rihanna hang from the middle of the stadium, or were you like me thinking to yourself, how are we going to finish this off? How are we going to win it? Let us know. Hit us up on the Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. Let us know if you changed up the mojo. Did you change where you were sitting? Did you do what I did? Changed apparel. I had to switch up hoodies, switched up hats. I had to do something to help the team.
Did you do what I did and just stared off into the, dark void and contemplate how your life works?
Hey, I did that when I played at Washburn. If things weren't going
that
well,
was your halftime ritual. Just sit in the little corner of the locker room.
No, I had to do something to switch up the mojo, man.
Yeah.
You got to do something.
That's fair.
There's a reason.
Change out the gloves.
Got to do something. You have to do something.
No gloves.
Everyone loves the list today. This will be interesting. Biggest plays of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You and I differ.
Yeah, when we did the AFC Championship game, we had 8 plays and all 8 were different.
All different. We'll get to that coming up as well. But right now, we are going to talk all things Super Bowl with the man who's got a really nice Super Bowl ring. He played for the Baltimore Ravens when they won the wild game in which the power went out down in New Orleans. Longtime NFL vet. He used to absolutely destroy me in practice as well for 2.5 years. He is Kerry Williams joining us. And Kerry, I got to know, as a guy who's played in the NFL, a guy who has won a Super Bowl, who knows what it's like to be on the field during that game, what's your feeling like at halftime? Did you think the Chiefs were cooked? Did you think the Chiefs had a chance? What's your opinion on what was going to happen in the second half?
First of all, thank you guys for having me, man. It's an honor and a privilege. I appreciate this opportunity, man. And to the question that's asked, man, you can never count out Patrick Mahomes, man. You can't count this guy out. He's an unbelievable passer, man, and he's probably one of the most electrifying players on the field. Every time he touches the ball, you kind of grasp and you know something big is going to happen. He has those type of capabilities, and man, I didn't count the Chiefs out at all. I just figured that the Eagles would have a better chance of winning because their front seven may have been slightly better, just slightly. I'm not saying that they were just better, but they didn't prove that Sunday night.
Was there anything in the game that surprised you? To me, obviously, the Eagles not getting a sack. You look at the game a little bit differently than me, but is there something that surprised you in this game?
Yes, I really thought the Eagles would be more physical. I thought the Eagles would actually try to dominate the line of scrimmage because they had the ability to do it, and they had the names and the accolades and the stats and the sacks to prove that. But unfortunately, they didn't. Man, it just showed the heart, the grit, the tenacity, and just the moxie that the Kansas City Chiefs possess, man. And those guys been in those positions before, man. This is not their first rodeo. Those guys handled those guys, man, with looked like with ease, man. To give up 0 sacks from a D line that gave you 65 in a season, it's incredible.
You mentioned they've been there before. How big is having played in the Super Bowl before? Is that a big deal? Is the experience of playing in the Super Bowl a big deal?
Experience is everything, man. When you don't feel rattled, you feel at ease. I'm sure Big Red had those guys feeling at ease at halftime, and they were always in it with Mahomes, man. You can never have any doubt in this guy, man. This guy can accomplish anything, man. He's just that great of a player, man. You can never count him out.
Is the game different? Is it because it's so long and halftime and commercial breaks? Does it feel like a normal game?
No, it's not a normal game. It doesn't feel the same. You have those long commercial breaks. You have those long halftime, and really that's what it is, man. That halftime sitting down in there, man. If you're not stretching, if you're not warm, man, you can easily get out of your mojo, as you said earlier, man. You could easily get out of because you could easily lose that edge. And like I said, that's when just preparation and the fact that the Chiefs have been there, and you got a coach that's been there. Keeping those guys fresh and keeping those guys abreast of things and what was going on, man. It just showed up. Because that third quarter, man, the way they came out in that third quarter and actually pound the run and just took it to those guys, man, it just showed that those guys had they were more better. They were better coached, and they had a better way of handling the halftime.
And that's the one thing that I'll get to you there, Kerry. Is you've played in the NFL, you played around some phenomenal defensive-minded coaches, offensive-minded coaches, and everything like that. Is going up against a team that has the biggest and best and brightest and just a genius play designer, play caller, can you do anything against that? Because the Eagles defense looked like they had no answer for what Andy Reid put out there in the second half. I mean, there were guys butt naked wide open in that second half.
Yeah.
What do you do against that?
I think what the issue was, primarily from what I was looking at, I don't know, what they were doing. It was miscommunications, man, in the secondary. It was supposed to be a guy that was going to lock down there on the guy that was on the ball, and the motion man comes down. Unfortunately, the guy that was in motion with the defender that was in motion with the motion guy ended up going across the field in anticipation that that's where they were going to go. You can't anticipate. You got to get your eyes on your luggage. You definitely have to come down there, and somebody has to disrupt the timing between those two guys. And they didn't get any of that. So you had two guys wide open, and I think Tony ended up getting that touchdown that was just absolutely free. And I think it's communication, man. It starts during the play. It starts before the play. And you just have to talk things out. And I think that they didn't talk things out and have it all nailed down before Mahomes said hike. And that's where you're stuck, man. I don't think that Andy Reid did anything that was out of the ordinary. It's, to me, I feel like you've seen those plays before. You practice against those plays. At least I have. I've seen it. I've seen it with Brady. I've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. Those plays are plays that that you see, and you just have to make sure that you communicate it to the guys that are in those plays and in those situations as a defender, man, and just cover a guy. Get a guy covered up and disrupt the timing. And they didn't do it. And unfortunately, eyes were in the wrong spot, and that's what happens when you don't play with good eyes, man.
You said you got to keep your eyes on your luggage. Congratulations, Kerry. That's my new favorite saying because that's fantastic. Eyes on your luggage. Fantastic. We're talking with Kerry Williams, Super Bowl champ, All-American at Washburn, as well as longtime NFL vet, played for the Ravens and the Eagles, the Seahawks. All right. You're a guy who is a skill guy. You know about wide receivers, DBs. Does the general public not realize that it's really decided in the trenches? It's decided by the big guys up front. Like you said that to me after the game. I sent you a tweet and I said, wow, how about that? And you said, no, the Chiefs were just that much better up front. Is that how it is normally? But we get mesmerized by all this eye candy of Tony and Mahomes and all that, but it's them big dudes up front.
Man, you get mesmerized by the speed, the ability, the physical ability of these guys to slip into small spaces and things like that and make miraculous catches, man. But those guys in the trenches, those guys are equally or even better athletically than those guys outside. I've played with some amazing talents and guys that can catch the ball with one hand and all of that. But, man, I've played with some guys that's 350 pounds that can do a 360 windmill dunk on a basketball hoop. Like, these guys are elite athletes, man, and you can never count these guys out. These guys, the game starts up front, man. First and foremost, it's up front. You can't get a ball snapped unless you got a center and guys that can keep the quarterback protected and beat a guy off the ball, man. It's all up there in the trenches, man. That's where the game is won and lost each and every down, man. If you don't have good trenches guys, man, a good trench play, then it's going to be hard to be successful in the National Football League, man.
All right, I got to know, who are the big dudes who are the freak shows?
Kelsey. He to me, I feel like he's one of the most phenomenal pullers in the game. The center, Jason Kelsey. I played with him. I played with JP, Jason Peters, Big Lane Johnson. Those guys are super freaky athletic guys. I was gonna say Haloti Nada was a freak athlete who can do a 360 windmill dunk.
That's wild that man can do that.
Like, yes, man. A man 300 plus pounds can get up and do those things, man. I've seen those with my eyes, man. It's incredible, man. I play with some freak athletes, man.
All righty, we're talking with Kerry Williams, Super Bowl champ, and let's get to it. It's 3rd and 8. Juju Smith-Schuster runs a whip route, a little in cut, then rolls out. There is a grab of the jersey, and then he goes upfield. They call it. Take me through what you were thinking when you're seeing the replay. Is that a hold? What did you think of it?
I thought it was, it was the right call. But in that situation, I didn't feel like it was. I felt like it was in the situation is a no call. You can't. I felt like you can call it, but I mean, it was the right call. But in that situation, I want the players to decide the game, and that wasn't necessarily the deciding or the defining factor in the loss. But it definitely kind of marred the ending to some degree because you wanted to see if the Eagles had an opportunity to come back. But at the end of the day, that's the way the chips fell, and it is what it is. I wouldn't have liked it if that was me on the other end, just because I felt it was ticky-tack and it wasn't necessarily anything that was super egregious, especially when you didn't call it any other time during the game. So that's my take on it.
Do you think that Bradbury after the game said that, yeah, I held him and I was hoping that it wasn't going to get called?
I mean, a DB holds all the time, and we hope that it's not going to get called. You know what I mean? The offensive lineman could hold a guy and hope it's not going to get called. You know what I mean? like every time you do something wrong, you're gonna hope that it's not get caught. Hope they don't see it. But in that situation, I felt like it was a ticky tack call. But it was called and it was the right call. It wasn't a wrong call at all. It wasn't like he didn't hold him. He held him. But I just felt like it wasn't egregious enough in that particular situation in that moment to call that call. But the ref saw it from his angle, and these guys get paid to make the calls, and he made that call, and it is what it is. And hats off to the Chiefs, hats off to the organization. Their preparation was amazing, man. The adjustments was great, and they just came out, man, and just absolutely destroyed them in the second half, man. That's point blank period, man. That's what happened. They just was way more physical.
What kind of goes through the locker room on a call like that? I know you were on the winning side of things in the Super Bowl, but I'm sure that you have been on the sidelines and in the locker room after a game in which a call, was a big factor in the game. As you pointed out, it wasn't the end all be all. I mean, the Chiefs didn't get stopped the entire second half. So it doesn't ever come down to that one play. Players know that, but what about that locker room in there? What is discussed there?
I don't think you discuss anything. I think what you discuss is, in your head, you kind of go through the things that coulda, woulda, shoulda in your head, man. I don't think you bring any attention to Bradbury or you try to, make him feel less than what he is, man. He's a top tier athlete that made a mistake, and you just move on, man. You just have to move on from that and just have a short memory and in hopes that we could bring the band back and get it going next year.
Jalen Hurts. I didn't know if he could do it with his arms. I knew they could do it with his legs. But did you come away with a different opinion on Jalen Hurts after that performance?
That's another man that I will never second guess. The brother can play. He can flat out play, and he's proved it throughout the years, and he's proved people wrong over and over in his career. I feel like he's another guy like Patrick Mahomes that can get things done in any way you want him to get it done. Patrick Mahomes had a great, huge run at the end of the game that set those guys up and put those guys in field goal position, man. And Jalen did the same thing for his team. And he did a lot of things with his arm last night that didn't surprise me. And it was good to see that you can't put this guy in a box, man. You can't make him one-dimensional.
Alrighty, let's talk about the turf, the grass. How big of a deal is that? Do you, if you've played on bad grass and bad turf that you're slipping all the time, does that affect your mindset, or is it like, hey, they got to deal with it too? What goes into playing on a field that seems not to be what it should be?
You can't make complaints, man. You can't complain about it, man. You can't make excuses, man. You just got to go out there and try to be as low as possible. They say the low man wins, man. In those situations, with being a DB and trying to play outside, and if you're slipping, man, you try to get the right cleats and you try to be as low as possible, man, and make sure you're getting the correct footing and the correct placement of your foot, and so that you can explode and use that turf to the best of your ability, man. But to your advantage, man. I'm not a big person of making excuses, man, for the turf. The turf is what it is because everybody's dealing with it. You're not the only one that's dealing with it. You know what I mean? So, I can't say, it's the field, it's the field. No, but everybody's out there playing on the field. And to be honest with you, Ten act like he didn't have no slipping problems. He was just running through those guys, man. So, you just got to find a way, man. Find a way to get it done.
We're talking with Kerry Williams. All right, Kerry, my last two questions for you. Last two for the road. What's it like in the Super Bowl party? Is it just craziness, or what's going down there?
And I don't know, man. We had one that was really chill, man. We had a lot of older guys on our team. And, ours was really chill. We had Frankie Beverly and Mays, and we had Mary J. Blige. Now, that I don't know if anybody would say, that's a crazy, awesome Super Bowl party. But, my mom and dad probably would think that's wow, what a Super Bowl party. But for me, it was cool. It was cool. It was real chill. It felt like it was a picnic. So I don't know what everybody else's is like. Ours felt like a picnic to me. And a nice family outing, great music, something that you'll hear at a cookout.
We had a little bit of an older team. Yes, you definitely did. with Ray and Ed and everybody like that. That is for sure. Alrighty, my last question for you. How many Super Bowl victories will Patrick Mahomes end up with?
Sky's the limit, man. If it's anybody that could pass Brady, he's the guy.
See, that's what makes it so happy, Kerry, that you say that, because I've been a Chief fan my entire life, and to know that we have the guy that might be the next Brady on our team, it's pretty remarkable. And sometimes I have to pinch myself for that. Kerry, my man, thank you so much for the time. Fantastic insight from a guy who's done it and done it at the best level. Do you still wear your Super Bowl ring ever?
Yes, I do. I do wear it from time to time. It's not a everyday wear an event type of situation, but if there's any type of special event, like a wedding or something like that, I might wear it depending on who's there.
That's got to be like the biggest flex ever. I'm not going to lie to you. A little bit better than, our MIAA champion ring in college. A little bit better than that, my friend. Kerry, thank you.
Slightly, a little bit more diamond.
A little bit, like 8 times as big. Kerry, my man, thank you so much for the time. Always enjoyed chatting with you, my friend. Stay well.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you for having me, man. Y'all have a good one.
Kerry Williams. Fantastic insight there. That's great stuff.
I can't lie. If I had a Super Bowl ring, I'd wear it every day of my life.
I would too.
Never taken it off.
He wore it to his Hall of Fame induction at Washburn.
Yes, no, that's what you do. Yes, no.
Massive. It is
no,
massive.
I would never let that down. That would be an amazing accomplishment. Kerry's great.
Massive, yes. Played 9 years in the NFL. Fantastic career. Coming up next, biggest plays of the game on Everyone Loves the List. All right, Everyone Loves the List. Biggest plays of Super Bowl 57.
See if we have any overlap.
I think we're going to have some
I think we will, but we'll see.
overlap.
Yeah, we went 8 for 8 in the AFC title game. Number 4 for me, Kadarius Toney's Super Bowl record punt return. Set you up for a touchdown down near the 5, changed the momentum up after the Eagles punted cowardly. Given the state of their team, that's more than not as cowardly. But still, Kadarius Toney's punt return, 4th biggest play of the game for me.
The 4th biggest play of the game for me, I thought this was a monster play considering when it occurred, but also at what down it occurred. And that was the A.J. Brown touchdown.
Ooh, big play.
That got them up 14-7. I thought that was a monster play in this game. Really big. 14-7. You think that the Chiefs were going to maybe if somehow get a stop, but I thought the A.J. Brown touchdown was big.
No, that A.J. Brown touchdown was massive important. Number 3 for me, given its time and location, Devontae Smith's butt naked wide open reception. Like, it wasn't that hard of a play for him because he was left that wide open, but that gave the Eagles their life to tie that game up.
Number 3 for me is the Tony touchdown on 3rd and 5. They hadn't used that formation. They hadn't used the play is known as corn dog,
which is elite.
But Tony touchdown, 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5. I don't know if they would have gone for it.
I don't know if they would either. Number 2 for me, the Bolton scoop and score. You needed that momentum in the first half.
Number 2 for me, the Tony punt return. That set up the go up 8. Tony punt return, huge in this game.
Was number 1 for me, Pacheco's 3rd and 1 run on the final drive and that little sweep motion out of the trap that kept it going to get you close to the red zone. Massive play in a spot where they have not converted all year.
For me, it was the fumble, scoop, and score. That honestly was the difference in this game. Hurts played a perfect game outside of that. Coming up next, we'll hear from the players and coaches after the game.
Jewelers, we believe every piece has a story. From engagement rings to heirloom jewelry, our expert design.
To just how impressive this Chiefs victory was coming up in the 2:00 hour. Got a little overreaction, proper reaction. We'll get to that coming up as well. But we got some great texts from the Big O Tires text line. Let us know, Chiefs fans, what you did at halftime to change this up. And this is from Noah here in Topeka. Said, halftime came and three things changed. I muted the TV audio, moved to the radio broadcast to my Bluetooth speaker. I checked out the Puppy Bowl on Animal Planet.
Always a good time to reset the vibes.
Yep, Team Fluff. Even though I'm a cat person, that helped with the stress.
Listen, puppies will, no matter what type of person you are, you can't see a puppy playing in a fake football field and not just immediately become the happiest person on the planet.
I read a few pages from Rick Rubin's new book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, because we were fighting for our right to Lombardi. That's fantastic. Oh, gosh, that... that's what's so funny is when Travis Kelce yelled out, "You got to fight for your right." And everybody said to party. No, you ain't the real ones. It's to Lombardi. That's what I'm talking about. So keep them coming from the Big O Tires text line. And from the Big O Tires site, Jake, how would you feel as a receiver and you ran your route and you were that wide open in the end zone? Terrified, because I have said from the very beginning, the ones that you are so wide open are the hardest ones to catch because you're thinking about it. You know you're wide open. The ones that you're going across the middle, and at least for me, it's reactionary. You know,
Yeah.
the old adage, don't think, just play.
Yeah.
Well, when you think
Thinking
you're
too
slow,
much.
when you think you're slow, you're a
Mhm.
step slow, and that ain't gonna work. That's why repetition. Yeah, the ones that you're that wide open with, you're just like, oh. But the nice thing is Mahomes throws it like right to them. Like
Yeah, it does. I have to ask this,
insane.
Jake. While we're on this subject, were you ever that butt naked open on a play in college?
One time.
Really?
One time. Yes.
Would you credit that to the scheme of the play that was drawn up for you, or the play that's drawn up in general, or did the defense just screw up?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
That's
a fair answer.
It is. The answer is both, because you run the play. So the one time that it was honestly like the Devonta Smith situation.
Okay.
We had two wide receivers. It was a double post, and you release on the inside.
Yeah.
So that way, because if you release, because it was cover 2. Okay. So this will give you an idea. Okay, we'll go behind the curtain here.
We're gonna go to some X's and O's here for a minute.
It is so much about those details, because if you play cover 2, the rule is if you outside release, which means you release and you go down the field towards the sideline, the defensive back normally runs with you for a long ways, because that he wants to make sure that that nothing gets super far that way to give time. Well, if you release on the inside, he kind of shoves you on the inside, and then he stays in his flat area and then gets deep if nobody comes around. Well, we were twins, and then the inside guy ran a post, and his job is to take the free safety to the middle of the field. Well, you both inside release, and then I, as the outside guy, just kept going back outside. So the guy's like, oh, he's going to run inside. No big deal. Well, the safety went towards the double post. So I am butt naked wide open. And I remember the ball is coming, and there's actually a great photo, shout out Gene Castle, of me catching it the most awkward way. I'm catching it like this. Like, and I know you can't see it, but like my two hands are like smushing, not like put your
not
together.
the prototypical diamond cutter.
No, for some odd reason I'm catching it like this, like sandwiching it.
This speaks more credence to your thought of those are harder because you're thinking too much.
You're wide open. You just and you know you're wide open. You're like, oh my god, this is tough. The difference is that I scored a touchdown. Devonta Smith ran out of the 2-yard line. Soft. Anyways,
see, my only sport I really played was baseball, but I can attribute to the idea of not thinking. You don't think while you hit. You can't think while you hit. You can't. It's very reactionary.
Great point from the Big O Tires text line. Won't get any love because it wasn't an official play, but the sneaky biggest moment of the game was the false start on 3rd and 1 that led to the 3rd and 6, which became the Bolton scoop and score. That's fair. That is why. And that's a great point. That is why every single situation is so critical. And that's also why it doesn't come down to one play. Hey, Jordan Mailata, I probably butchered his name.
It also was not Mailata, it was Cefalu, the other Polynesian member of the team.
Yeah. So if he doesn't do that,
if he does not commit this, and it was a small flinch, but it was a flinch, and they can't
run the quarterback sneak.
Yeah, and I will say this as well. I'm impressed the refs called that, because low key the Eagles have been false starting on that formation a lot this year. But it's just so tight that it's hard to see the small flinches. But no, that's true. Cefalu does not flinch at his right guard position on that play. They run the sneak. They get first down out of it. Instead, they have to run a 3rd and 6. They now run a kind of a QB power, QB draw. Hurts gets wrapped up, loses grip on a football. Bolton scoop and score. Like, no, that's a great point. And that is why we do point out one flag will pretty much never decide a game. However, one play will rarely decide a game because so many things compound to reach a moment.
People act like this is the opposite of what occurred in the NFC title game between the Saints and the Rams. Okay, that is egregious. Okay?
Yeah, that was an egregious miss. That was the most blatant miss ever.
That wasn't an egregious miss,
Yeah.
And that's why I look at, you even heard Kerry said, was it a hold? Yes.
Would you prefer they not to call it? That's it.
And the reason why I say that is because it changed the finish. Everybody was hoping it was going to be an epic finish, goes down to the very, very end.
Yeah.
Whereas it really didn't, because The hold, negate it, first down. Now you just run out the clock. Jerick McKinnon falls down at the 1 yard line, and then you salt it out. And then Jalen Hurts, I don't know if the ball got tipped, but his arm strength was better than
I don't know there what happened there.
I mean, it only went from like the 40 to the 30. So I think it got tipped by Bolton.
It might have.
Or something. But that to me is the reason why you if you are a neutral, you feel like you got cheated from the finish that it deserved, because it was a phenomenal football.
And I agree, because I can know how this would from a neutral observer, because I have a very simple, like, when I watch games as a neutral party, I love it when, late close games like that, I want the other quarterback to get a shot to drive down, see what he can do, So I could see neutral parties going, they wanted to see Jalen Hurts get a real drive to try and tie the game or take the lead, depending on the outcome. They wanted to see if the Chiefs up 3, could Jalen Hurts get them to the end zone? Could he make that drive? Could the Chiefs, I get everyone's point there on kind of the finish they would have preferred over what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, and I understand. I understand from a neutral point of view where you're at. I understand all the points of view. Chiefs fans were totally cool with it being called because it helps salt away a win. Eagles fans, I get why they can be upset, because you wanted the chance to drive down and you lost it with that penalty. I get it. Neutral parties, I get it. The fact of the matter is, the hold's a hold, and they called it.
Want to get to some post-game audio from last night, as well as this morning. They held a press conference today at 8:30 in the morning, more like 8:45, closer to 9, to be honest with you, with Andy Reid and the MVP, Patrick Mahomes. Why are you having a press conference at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, the night after they won a Super Bowl?
I can only imagine the idea on the earliness is get the final round of media out of the way before everyone starts heading back.
That would be it.
And I mean, maybe also that time was because the Chiefs told them, hey, we are, leaving portion is at this time, and this was the best way to make it work. Like, I have to imagine that's what it was. It was just because of travel.
And I see people like, oh, Mahomes has got to be so mad. He's got to be there. Man, Mahomes doesn't care. He has no.
Buddy is gonna vibe at the. Was gonna vibe at the post game.
Yeah.
Then he's gonna go to Disney World with his kids and his wife. And then that buddy, come Wednesday, is not going to be sober for hours.
Let's hear some post game. Here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say about winning this one for Andy Reid, knowing it was against Philly.
Oh, we had to win this one right here. I mean, Coach Reid did so many great things for the Eagles, and to be in this big game. I mean, I know he has a ton of respect for everybody who's still over there, but we had to win this game for Coach Reid. And this is one of the greatest coaches of all time. He needs that second Super Bowl ring to solidify that. But I'm gonna keep him around a little bit longer. We're gonna go for some more of those things.
And Andy Reid was asked about retirement talk.
I think I'm going to hang around.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Coach.
Nobody more happy than Patrick Mahomes.
There we go, big boy.
And that was weird because before the game, Jay Glazer put out there that, depending upon what happens, he might have a decision to make. Which is very vague,
Very.
But that's the first thing that's really been brought up about Andy Reid. Now, Andy Reid today was asked about, are you going to, think about it, all that kind of stuff. And it sounds like he's not. He's 64 years old, which is not old coach-wise. I mean, look at
Belichick's 70, Pete Carroll's
70. You know what I mean? Like
Pete Carroll's I think 72.
Yeah, they're got some older guys.
Yeah.
But to me, you got to look at the person. Sean McVay is not going to be coaching in the NFL when he's 64.
No, we keep having these Sean McVay, is he going to retire conversations. We get maybe one more, maybe two, where it doesn't end with him retiring.
Yeah.
Like Sean McVay, if he is coaching past 45, I would be stunned.
And this is what Andy Reid had to say today. The audio is not the best, so we tried to get it as we could. But Andy Reid was asked about, great question, I think it's from Adam Teicher. And he asked him, do you enjoy the grind? the grind of an NFL
Because that's the
season.
big part of
Yes.
why that's a big part of why McVay's probably going to retire early.
Yeah.
Is just the grind's not fun anymore.
Here's what Andy Reid had to say about, do you enjoy the grind of a season and and everything that comes with it?
Yeah, well, I do enjoy that. I mean, that's the fun part of it. I enjoy having the coaches that I have, that I can interact with on both sides of the ball. And, but I spend more time with the offensive guys and to come up and create things for them. And they're as much of the creative process as I am. So, Joe Blayman, I mean, the names go on. Greg Lewis, David Girardi, Corey and Teddy. These guys love getting in and going. Tom Melvin has been with me since he was a player at San Francisco State. Always comes up with one or two things.
So, well, the audio not great, but he said, yeah, I do enjoy the grind. I do enjoy doing that. And that's the difference to me with Andy Reid. That's the reason why Andy Reid did not want to take what do they call it? When you have a year off from
sabbatical?
From high school to college. What do you take? What's
gap year?
Gap year. He didn't want to take a gap year. Like Mike McCarthy.
Those are something, man.
Mike McCarthy took
he took gap year.
He took a gap year.
And a lot of coaches do that.
Yeah, he didn't want to.
And it usually also can depend on the circumstances of the situation. Some guys that, they step away from a team because they want to take that break. Some guys get fired and do a little soul searching. Andy Reid, it stunk that the Eagles, and him parted ways. It probably helped that immediately the Chiefs were like, hey, big guy, got on a plane. Like, you're available? Please come here. But Andy Reid just, he still finds joy in this. And I think that is always the key thing for coaches, especially as they get older, and even head coaches even more specifically, is just, are you enjoying what you're doing? And as long as they get joy out of it, they usually keep doing it.
Patrick Mahomes on his ankle in what was he allowed to do? What kept him? What was it like playing on that ankle?
I felt really good, and then that happened, and I had a lot of soreness going through into halftime, and was able to move it around and kind of get taped up a little bit and go out there in that second half, and it didn't feel good, but I was going to leave it all out there, and I'm glad that it was enough for the win.
Sounds like it when he rolled it, again, tweaked it, it was more pain at the time, but then they did more treatment, got the longer halftime probably helped, and he was able to make it work. But it sure looked a lot worse. He did not look like that in the Bengals game, for sure. I don't know how much post game you listened to, Fulton, but there was one thing that Andy Reid kept on bringing up, and it was Patrick Mahomes in the offseason. Here's what Andy Reid had to say about how do you keep your team young and hungry.
Well, listen, Pat took all the guys, all these new guys. I mean, he's not bragging on himself here. I'm going to do it for him. He took all the new guys and took them down to Texas, and by the time we got them for phase 2 of the offseason, they were already on board and rolling. And so, listen, with that right there, he keeps everybody around him hungry, and you and I like to eat.
He brought that up multiple times. That was on set with the NFL Network. He brought it up in the post-game press conference that it started in the offseason. Did you realize, and it's incredible that in this game that the Chiefs played last night, not one single wide receiver was on the field last year during this game.
Yeah. The only one it would have been Pride McCole.
And he wasn't on the field.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Every single new wide receiver was on this team. Not a single rep coming into this year. That is why on the offensive side, getting connected with your guys, it started early on. They didn't have OTAs like normal.
No.
Beg your pardon. They didn't do the regular practice and all that. They just said, Pat, take him down there to Texas. You do your thing. Congratulations, Chiefs fans. You basically have another head coach because that's what occurred. And he got that team clicking and he got that team together.
And I would not be surprised if this becomes a consistent thing for Pat in the offseason going forward. It's just every year at some point, old guys from last year, any of the new guys, let's come down. Let's get a little early work in.
I do want to get to what Mailata had to say, the offensive lineman for the Eagles on the turf. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, slippery. Not a grass expert, but it's pretty slippery.
I'm not a grass expert, but it was pretty slippery.
Good attempt to impersonate his New Zealand accent there.
Tried there. Travis Kelce, what did you say to your brother?
There's nothing you can really say to a loved one in a situation like that. You joke around all the time and say that you want to be your brother on the biggest stage ever, but it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling, and that team had great leadership, great coaches. Obviously, it came down to the end, and we got all the respect in the world for those Eagles, man. But there's nothing really I can say to him other than I love him, and he played a hell of a year, a hell of a season.
That is
those two are so great.
Yeah, they're doing one of their podcasts like tomorrow, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, they can't usually. I don't know when they record it usually because I know it's never live, but it drops on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So depending on the recording schedule, Trav's a little busy on Wednesday.
Yes.
Trav's just a little busy.
Wednesday. We'll get to some more. We'll try to get you details of that. The parade will be Wednesday. We aired the part where they spoke and did all that. We will do that again coming up as well. So I don't know what time, how it's going to work, but we'll try to get to all the details that we can for you. Coming up next, it was an impressive showing for Andy Reid. We'll get to that here in the 2:00 hour. Yep. It is still a Super Bowl Victory Monday edition of Mic'd Up. Jake LeBon along with Fulton Caster with you. And I'm already supporting my new Chiefs hoodie. That is right.
Yeah, shout out Jake. Within a quick span was like, all right, got to get the gear.
This morning. Had a gift card.
That helps.
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason why.
Gift card's clutch.
I had a gift card to Academy Sports. That
also,
I got.
that is literally just around the corner from the office.
Yeah,
too.
oh yeah. Mm-hmm, yes. Dropped my kids off. Had a gift card, and I was like, let's just go check it out real quick. And I am very picky on my apparel. On my apparel. And I want to get a hoodie because I am team hoodie. We live in Kansas, so therefore you can wear a hoodie from September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and April sometimes.
Yeah.
So you get your use out of it.
Yeah.
I like the hoodie look. It's got the logo right here. Right
got
here.
The Super Bowl logo, which is always key.
Yep. The late, great Terez Paylor told me that. And so I already got a rockin'. Feels good. Feels good.
I can play more Feels Good by Tony Tones if we need to.
We can play all the good stuff. All of the good stuff. Ain't nothing gonna bring me down. Oh no. No, sir. Keep us in your mentions on our comment section on YouTube. Very simple, very easy. Click the subscribe button. You'll get recaps on all the games, KU, K-State, Chiefs, Washburn, Royals, all of that. Let us know in the comments section as well as our Big O Tires text line. 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. From the Big O Tires text line, at halftime, I took the Chiefs plus 7.5. I did too. And I took the Chiefs money line.
Not bad.
And I already picked the Chiefs to win before the game when they were plus 104.
Profitable day.
And I took the over.
Profitable day. I had a friend of mine. He's slowly getting into sports gambling. He's never going to be heavy with it, but he's starting to mess around with it a little bit.
Well, I am not heavy with it when it comes to the amount.
I agree. But I think we can all say some of us around here are very invested in the amount of times we do take a trip to old FanDuel. He was asking for my advice and some stuff, and he mentioned he was contemplating putting the under in something. I was like, buddy, let me tell you something. There's gonna be points. He did not keep the under. He took the over. He himself had a very profitable.
There you go.
Listen, as soon as the Chiefs won the Super, just winning the game period, I had a very, very I had not just a profitable day. I have had a profitable weekend thanks to one Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I am a lot of dollars richer.
What did you get for the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl? I had plus 600.
I think I don't know if I can. I wanted to say it was. might have been +9.
I got a +6. I was a little late to the party.
It was one of my free bets I put on the day it became active, back on September 1st. I want to see if they still had my old slip where I could get the actual odds, but the old app I used is kind of crappy there. Either way, I turned a sizable profit.
Nice.
That all that matters. Came into the odds. I turned a sizable profit. So
yeah,
I have had a great weekend.
If you believed in Patrick Mahomes,
you made some money this
weekend was a good one.
Which
when
in doubt, I roll with 15
+7.5 money line. Beginning of the game, I took the Chiefs. At the beginning of the season, not the beginning of middle of the month. I wasn't quite there.
Nope. Day 1, September 1st, I had a nice Mahomes MVP future bet that I
did
placed
that as well,
and then I bet my Chiefs Super Bowl because I was like, you know what? I was given free bets. I'm betting on my favorite team to win things.
Yep.
Also, I've had some great run with futures bets thanks to what happened on September 1st in the state legalizing sports gambling. My KU football wins total over hit.
That was easy.
My K-State football wins total over hit.
We've had some success. The big stuff we have. I mean, we both like KU over win total.
That was easy.
Like K-State over win total. Mahomes MVP.
Got it.
Super Bowl.
Got it.
We've had a lot of good long-term success when it comes to
And
this.
now it's time for the Royals to ruin all that.
No, really.
I'm trying not to let them
under.
That's actually very fair.
But
to break out of football, spring training, pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday. There's a parade and some guys show up in Arizona.
Yeah.
Good day.
From the Big O Tires text line from the 785, I made $500 off Butker hitting the goalpost. That went off at +450.
Really?
Yeah, I think you could. It might have been even higher than that, depending upon when. But yeah, +450 hitting the goalpost.
Doink City. That ball left his foot, and I as he went for it, I was already kind of mad to settle the kick. But as that ball hit his foot, I started seeing it tail left. I'm like, oh no. And then when it doinked, I was like, dang it.
What I want to get to, we're going to get to a little overreaction, proper reaction. But what I want to get to for this situation in this game is, has there ever been a bigger disparity on both sides of the coaching staffs? And when I say both sides, there are two ways that you coach, to me, on the field. I'm not talking about being, the leader and getting your guys to play for you, that type of thing, because that's more, I think, in the locker room and that type of thing. And plus, I think both coaches are very good at that, right? The Eagles players love Nick Sirianni. Chiefs players love Big Red, right?
Yeah.
But the two things that go into coaching in a football game, and really in any type of sport, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, hockey, there are two ways. It's one, game management and the decisions you make during the game. All right?
Yeah.
And then scheme, play design, adjustments. All right? That's the X's and O's, okay? In basketball, all right? Game management, all right? Do you decide to play your guy with 2 fouls? When do you take him out? When do you put him in? When do you decide to speed it up? When do you decide to slow it down? When do you decide to call a timeout? Those are game management situations in basketball. Game management situations in baseball. Very simple. When do you send a runner? When do you be aggressive on the base pass? When do you pull your starter? When do you bring in the bullpen guy? Those are game management situations. In football, game management situations are, when do you call your timeouts? When do you go for it on 3rd down? When do you go for it on 4th down? When do you punt? Those type of game management situations. And then we all know about X's and O's.
Yeah.
X's and O's. play design. How many times do we talk about Bill Self on a ATO after a timeout?
Yeah, Bill Self after the
Brilliant,
timeout,
right?
One of the greatest.
When do you know, adjustments on offense, adjustments on defense, those type of things. That is play design. I don't think that there was a bigger disparity on both ends than in this game. You had the strength of the Eagles, to me, was game management. Nick Sirianni, and we talked about this Friday. Nick Sirianni knows his team so well. He knows what they do. They go for it on fourth down because they have a play that is crazy efficient in the quarterback sneak, which if the Chiefs did that today, we are talking about if the Chiefs did that type of play and it worked with pushing from behind, all that, there would be a huge push on eliminating that play if the Chiefs did that, because that's what the Chiefs do. They are the heel now. Embrace it, folks.
It's very
embrace
fun.
it.
It's a great time.
But do you agree with me on that?
I wouldn't be surprised if you talked about it a little bit more.
Okay. It's not, though, because they lost.
Yeah.
But Nick Sirianni knows if we just get to 3rd and 1, we are going to go for it. And to me, that is, your team. You're a good game manager.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni is fantastic at knowing the pulse of the game and situation usually, and knowing what decisions to make. He's very good at that.
So they had to go 18 third downs. They completed 11 of them, went 2 of 2 on fourth down. They did things so well game management wise. Whereas Andy Reid, it's 4th and 3, second drive of the game. It felt like the Chiefs were not going to get stopped. But Andy Reid thought, you know what?
Take the points.
I'm just going to take the points.
It's a risky proposition.
It is, one, because you're giving up 7 in a game that the opposing team just ran it down your throat and scored on the opening possession.
Absolutely housed.
And not only did that eliminate you from 4 points deciding to kick because you scored a touchdown at 7, but also then you end up missing the kick. So it cost you 7 points. Butker cost you 3. So it didn't seem like it was Andy Reid being passive. No. Andy Reid, as we know, only went for on fourth down in the regular season 12 times. That's it. It was the second fewest in the NFL. So game management wise was a very passive Andy Reid versus a very aggressive Nick Sirianni. No question about that. I thought Nick Sirianni called a great game.
Nick Sirianni called a fan. I said, I have one quibble with this entire time. Yeah. And even then, I kind of did understand the decision he made. I think given their personnel, it's not the right one, but I get it.
And I went and looked at that actually, Fulton. And here's the reason why I understood that one more so than the field goal. Because the field goal, they had it the Kansas City 15-yard, and it was 4th and 6. And if you kick a field goal, it's still a 1-possession game, which that
go from 3 to up 6.
The punt. Here's the reason why I kind of understood it. It was 4th and 3 at their own 32-yard line, and I think if this were at midfield, I think he goes for it.
You think it was a little too deep in the territory?
And the reason why I say is, if you don't get it, because you can't do quarterback sneak on 4th and 3.
4th and 3 is too long, so you don't have your autoplay. No, I agree.
So I look at that and I go, that's 4th and 3. I'm surprised what happened there, honestly, was that he didn't run it on 3rd and 3. You run it on 3rd and 3, it's now at worst 4th and 1, then you do go for it. But 4th and 3, it's too long for a quarterback sneak. And if you don't get it, you don't get it right there. The score was 28 to
it was 28-27.
27. I think that's the reason why they were like, look, I'm not ready to put this game. The unfortunate thing for the Eagles is they probably weren't expecting the longest punt return in Super Bowl history.
And that's what also changes some of the calculus for it too. It makes the result a little more annoying for Philly, is that the ensuing punt from a questionable decision to go for it was the longest punt return in Super Bowl history that set the Chiefs up at the 5. Like, that changed the calculus.
Yeah.
Where I go, and like I said, I if my only quote thinks Sirianni, I can see his logic and don't overall hate the idea there. It means it was still a really good game to be called. The Chiefs were struggling to stop the quarterback run, even on non-designed plays. On 4th and 3, you spread the Chiefs defense out a little bit. Chiefs probably just rushed 4, even if they rushed 5. I'll be honest, with the way he is playing, I put faith in Jalen Hurts at minimum that he just goes and runs and gets me 3 yards.
That's what
I run quarterback draw, and it works because it worked all game. So
they did the 2-point conversion exactly like that.
The sneak may not have been there. I think there were with the type of player you have at quarterback. I thought there were options to be risky there. Plus, the other big part to me, which is where I personally would have gone for it well, is, and we're going to get to it right now, his defense was getting pantsed. Like, but at that point, you already were just getting like the 2 drives the Chiefs had there, like to get to that 28 points. I mean, it was hot knife through butter, is what was happening. And at that point, I want to try and maximize my offense getting something, because I do have the thought of, I could punt, we could be fine. But then I have the thought of, well, if they keep hot knifing, I'm about to be down 8. Now, there's also a level of 2. How comfortable are you to being down 8? Which the Eagles showed very quickly when they were down 8. Big strike, get to the line, make the play. They did tie the game. So overall, I don't have a lot of. I think Nick Sirianni did call a great game. That one complaint, but I get why. I get his thought process. But overall, Nick Sirianni, fantastic at understanding game flow and game decisions.
And that gets to the play design, which, if you really look at it, the Chiefs had wide open guys all game long. Travis Kelce was open all game long. The question was, could Mahomes get it to him? And he made a couple tremendous catches, the shoestring one, but the one, across the middle of the field. The touchdown, throw was just absolutely perfect in the bucket. And in the second half, there was no adjustments by Jonathan Gannon. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy were absolutely cooking. They were on fire.
In their bag to the maximum reasoning of that phrase.
It wasn't even close. The difference was, and I'll relate this to basketball. What that was in the second half was guys in basketball, when it's a back and forth game, we've seen this so many times, and a lot of it involves KU. So many times it's a close game late, right? And one team is just scoring easy buckets, layups, open threes, wide open passes to easy shots, right? You're just like, wow, it's with ease. The other team feels like it's a root canal trying to score, but they score.
Yeah.
Running through it, getting an offensive glass, having to get fouled, having to go to the free throw line. It just seems like it doesn't come easy to them. Or, in school where you got, the guy who doesn't study and is just smart. We all know those guys. They didn't have to study. They were just brilliant,
Jerks.
And they didn't study and they got an all A's, Whereas you got the guy who studied and grinded and studied, did flashcards and all that kind of stuff. That is what that was in the second half. Yeah. You had open dudes, wide open, and we're talking running plays too.
Yeah.
The one Pacheco run that, honestly, I was glad CJ Gardner-Johnson took out Pacheco, because it kept the clock going.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't get there and he keeps on scoring, that's why, Pacheco going down is such a big deal. I was irate, and my wife was like, Jake, why are you screaming? Because Juju ran out of bounds.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
That was 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was 4:32 on the clock.
It's little things like that matter.
But
Juju, the clock.
Juju wide open, Kelce wide open. I mean, Justin Watson's wide open. Like, there were guys running free everywhere. And on the defensive side, outside of one busted coverage, the Eagles had to earn everything.
I mean, they had to face 18 third downs. Like, yes, they converted 11 of them, and you would like them to get off the field more. The fact of the matter is, every Eagles drive took an eternity, not because the Eagles were choosing to make it take forever. The Chiefs just they gave up 2 big plays all game. They gave up the big play to A.J. Brown where Trevor Duffy was almost there, and they gave up the busted coverage to Devontae Smith. Outside of that, the Eagles could not get big plays. It was a grind.
It was.
One of their touchdown drives was a 17-play drive. Yeah, you score, and at the end of the day, you're like, oh, at the end of the day, we see those 17-play drives. You're like, man, that's a long, methodical drive. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. But then you really think about it's like, man, they had to put together 17 plays to drive that thing home.
And what did they get?
Was that a field goal? Was that the field goal drive?
Field goal. And that was the stop in this game. And that goes back to play design versus game management. I don't know if that was the right game management decision, but play design wise, this was not a contest. This was, and this goes back to the Eagles had not seen an offense like the best offense that the Eagles seen all year was the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is not even is he a top 10 quarterback?
I'd have to really do some thinking.
Well, I can name right now 6 off the top of my head that I would take over it. I would take Mahomes. I would take Allen. I would take Burrow. I would take Hurts. I would take Rodgers if he comes back.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else would we take? Herbert.
Yeah, I
would
taking
take
Herbie.
Herbert over Dax. That's 6 right there. So he's not even in the top 6 quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah, he's definitely not top 6.
Not even remotely top 6 going into this. So, and depending upon how you feel about Lawrence, of Jacksonville, depending upon how
Trevor
you feel
gets up there for me. I really loved him this year.
about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar and his unique running abilities is the biggest thing for him. And
that's why I'm like, they hadn't seen our offense of any type of this.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why I think the Chiefs' offense was absolutely clicking. And I need to go and look at this, and shame on us for not going, that far into it. But what was I guess we can look it up real quick. What were considered the best offensive lines?
Oh man, I had not really taken a minute to think about the offensive lines they played.
Offensive line rankings. Okay.
That's actually a really good question.
Was this one of the best?
It was probably one of the better offensive lines they faced all year.
Alrighty. It says here O-line power rankings. This is from Pro Football Network. Okay. The Eagles number 1.
Yep.
Are okay. And then this was when was this? I want to make sure I get this at the right time. So this is middle of the season. Okay. So
let's go from there.
Cleveland number 2.
They did not face Cleveland.
Okay. The Chiefs number 3.
Obviously, they faced the Chiefs.
The Patriots.
They did not face New England.
Okay. Alrighty. The Detroit Lions.
They faced the Lions. It was a 38-35 game.
Week 1. Exactly. The Buccaneers. Did they face Tampa?
They did not face Tampa.
Okay. Did they face Baltimore?
They did not face Baltimore.
They faced Dallas.
They did face the Cowboys, won both those games, but gave up some points.
No, they lost one of them.
Oh, they did lose the 40-34 game.
Okay. The 49ers. That doesn't count because
they won that game. Yeah. That count. Without a quarterback, you can't account for anything in that game.
Did they play the Falcons? They did. Did they?
They did not play Atlanta.
They didn't play Atlanta?
They did not play Atlanta.
Did they play Green Bay?
They did play the Packers.
And the Packers
gave up 33 points, 140-33. Gave a lot of points.
See, that's something that we
missed. And that was kind of my thought. And I think we kind of glossed over it to an extent. Which means there was so much to cover, and sometimes you missed some things here.
Yeah.
If the Eagles can't get home, they can be scored on.
Oh, you mean, so you're telling me that the number 1 pass defense was the number 1 pass defense because what? They ain't played nobody, pal!
Like, I'm going to, just because while we're on the subject, I'm going to pull up a couple box scores here for, like against the Packers. They only sacked Aaron Rodgers 3 times. Still got 3 sacks, but, for the Eagles, only 3? When they played the Lions to begin the year, they had 1 sack. 1. when they face teams,
They were the Chandler Jones of 2022.
kind of, and that's what. Well, and things we touched this a little bit when we looked at one of our angle threads last week.
Yeah,
they're pressure sack dependent, which means that they're taking advantage of really bad either bad offensive lines or bad game scripts,
or
and things
bad,
like that.
Bad quarterbacks who
Bad
get
quarterback
sacked.
play as well.
Mahomes doesn't get sacked.
Like, when the Cowboys scored 40, they were sacked 6 times. Like, they got home there, and then there's other issues there. But overall, if the Eagles can't get pressure, they weren't really playing well. So like that's the thing we didn't think about. But Philly got, some pressure, but not a lot. They got no sacks. Mahomes didn't have too many moments where he had to really run for his life because of quick pressure. He had some scrambles that were in part due pocket collapsing. The other part was just no one was open, so he ran. But overall, that Eagles pass rush got neutralized, and that secondary couldn't hold up.
Wide
and then
open.
Again, more important than that, Andy Reid just saw what he could do, and him and Eric Bieniemy just started making some beauty.
And that's what, Kerry Williams said, that why are they so wide open? It's communication.
Yeah. And the Eagles weren't communicating.
Every time the Chiefs had somebody in motion every time, and it forces you to
More
talk.
teams should use pre-snap motion. I will also die on that hill.
Yeah.
Nearly every play has some sort of pre-snap motion. Nearly.
I feel like that's a hill that you really don't need to die on. I feel like
I don't need to die on it. People won't agree with it, but I will phrase this
I
this
feel
way.
like everybody should agree with that one.
Yeah, and if you don't, then that's a strange hill for you to die on.
Coming up next, little overreaction, proper reaction coming up here on Mic'd Up. Overreaction, proper reaction. 4 Super Bowls for Patrick Mahomes in his career.
Oh, boy. He's got 2 in the first 5.
And Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
Victories.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. He's got 2 in the first 5, because if that's so, it's like, well, he's already up to 4. He's up to 4 appearances. 3 appearances.
2 and 1.
My math is very bad sometimes. They're so hard to win. I think it's proper though, because just doing some career projections here, and you have to just assume things are not gonna all of a sudden drastically take a turn at any point. He's got 2 at 27. Let's say he can play till 37. He has 10 years to win 2 when they already won 2 and 5. Like, it tracks.
He's on pace, guy.
Like, honestly, if you say he's going to play 10 years in the NFL, he's on pace for 4. Because in the next 5 years, he'll win 2 more. That's if you just think he'll play 10 years. Quarterbacks usually have the longer careers. So it feels weird to say, and it's difficult because I don't want anyone to think it's easy to do what just happened. Like, Tom Brady normalized winning championships in a bad way. Like, and that's not like trying to disrespect Tom as a football player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was fantastic, but he did a disservice to the game with normalizing winning championships.
I'm going to say proper reaction simply because he is on a level that we've never seen before.
I'm with you.
And the reason I say that is he's had a better start to his career than Tom Brady. He's had a better start to his career than Joe Montana, than Peyton Manning. So it's crazy to say that because there's only been three individuals, and I'm like quarterbacks, that have won 4 or more Super Bowls.
Yeah, only 3 quarterbacks have done it.
It's Brady, it's Montana, and I think Terry Bradshaw.
I think TB has 4. I'm pretty sure TB has 4.
I think.
Yes, Terry Bradshaw has 4.
Yeah, okay. So I mean that's it.
No, you're correct.
And he was a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He was not a NFL MVP, but like that's the reason.
Well, not a 2-time MVP.
2-time Super Bowl MVP.
Well, he wasn't a 2-time NFL MVP. He was the AP MVP in 1970.
Yeah, 1 time.
So 1 time. Yeah, that was my point of clarification. He's not
gotcha.
a 2-time.
And
MVP,
so
but he is the 1 time.
That's why I'll say yes, which seems insane.
It feels so weird to say yes. I don't want that to go under the rug with that. Same vein though, overreaction, proper reaction. As long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, they should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl every year. And I'm talking preseason. Like, as the season goes, if we change our minds, that's whatever. Going into every season going forward, as long as 15's at the helm, the Chiefs should be your preseason favorite every year.
Is Andy Reid the head coach?
It's all about just 15. As long as 15 is there. Because I think 15 is going to play longer than Andy's going to coach. Eventually, there's going to be a different coach for Pat.
I'm going to say overreaction.
Okay.
Because I do think Reid helps. I do think if there's another team that does some, things in the off season and does make that. So I'll say that's a bit of an overreaction, but
if I said as long as Pat and Andy were together, would you say they should be the favorite every year?
I probably might agree with that one.
That's fair. Like, I really like thinking about it, seeing what he did with this team specifically. How are they not pretty much your favorite every year? I mean, that's basically what Brady was for a while, was just no matter what that team ever did, it was just New England's got Brady. They're probably the favorites to win this thing.
From the Big O Tires text line, overreaction of Mahomes. He will not have the supporting team to do it.
I used to think that was a correct belief to have. Texter, my response to you for that is, look at the supporting cast he had this year.
The only question that I will have, and I don't know if the texter thinks that, and I'm still going to ride with 15.
Always.
Is without Travis Kelce, I do wonder what this offense will look like.
That will be $1 million question.
Yep. But I look at it as, Mahomes is Jordan.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's Pippen.
Yeah.
Like, Pippen's still a top 75 player of all time.
Yeah.
Really, really good, but he ain't Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan gets it done, but Jordan never got it done without Pippen.
That's fair.
The reason I think they will be able to do it is we are going to get at some point in time to, I'm going to join the Chiefs to one, either boost my career or
I want my ring.
Go to get my ring.
And I great you bring that up here to kind of just interject a little news into a fun segment. Keenan Allen tweeted big support to the Chiefs and saying that he was very happy that they won a Super Bowl. Fun fact about Keenan Allen.
I didn't think he was happy. I think he just said,
he was great game, guys. Congrats on the win.
Well, I think he said, congrats on the win, but he said Patty Mahomes is the truth.
And here's a fun fact for all of you out there. Keenan Allen's probably going to get cut this offseason.
I don't think so.
They save a lot of money in LA if he is cut. I think he is a potential cap casualty. They have decisions to make because their cap situation is not the greatest. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion. I'm saying that there's a possibility. And if so, Keenan, you want a ring?
They would say, he has a $21 million cap hit this year. That's a high cap hit.
It is.
But he's worth it. The problem is
health. Health is important too.
Availability is an ability. And that hamstring, they would save $15 million to the cap.
That's why he could. Like I said, I'm not saying it's for inclusion. I'm not saying it's not like Taylor Lewan in Tennessee. Taylor Lewan's getting cut.
Yeah.
Like he even knows it and has openly talked about it. Keenan's not that. I would not be stunned if we get an announcement as like the league year rolls and stuff.
I think
the Chargers are cutting it.
I think this might have something to do with like a restructure, moving of money.
They could.
That type
I'm
of
just
thing.
saying, if Keenan Allen hits the open market,
I do think
someone give him a call.
I do think there is some of, hey, I'm gonna go to Kansas City. Like Juju revived his career this year.
He did.
Juju is gonna get paid.
Juju's gonna go get paid, and there are gonna be guys that do that for this team. They just know I'm a wide receiver and I need to kind of get a reset on a prove it deal. Go play with Pat for a year, man. And it's going to help you.
And I think with Mahomes' contract, and they'll be able to work with it. I think the supporting cast will be there. It just comes down to,
it might not be top tier elite with a Hall of Famer every year to go with him. It's not going to be Pat in the scrubs.
But I do know this. The defense right now,
I can't lie. I'm very excited for next year.
You've got Bolton for 2 more years.
Yep.
You've got Willie Gay for another year. Your whole entire secondary for 3 more years.
Yep.
Everyone in the secondary, Reed.
Got George for 4 more years.
George for 4 more years. The cap is open.
Yep.
I think the supporting cast might be all right. Coming up next, how will we remember this one? We'll get to that here to finish off this edition of Mic'd Up. Run here since 2015.
It's been great.
Like I told my wife, I said, do you realize since we were an item?
Did you use that word?
Yes, I did.
Oh Lord.
Yes, I did. We have celebrated a World Series title together, 2 Super Bowl titles together.
Not championships. A lot of rings.
Yeah, since 2015.
It's been great.
A lot of rings. Yeah. She got the best one of all, am I right?
Buddy.
That was a good one. You got to admit that
was pretty good.
That was a good
No,
one.
listen, I can't lie. I've grown up, and my 2 favorite teams as a kid growing up from Wichita were Chiefs and Royals. That's what it always was. When I really started getting into sports, those are the 2 teams I followed the most. And then, of course, there's KU. I, growing up, was like, I may never see a Chiefs or Royals championship ever because, my Lord, my team sucks. Oh, boy, has this been great since 2015.
All righty. How are we going to remember this game? What's the, okay. We've got the, you ready? You got the Lynn Elliott game.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got the no punt game.
Yeah.
All right. You've got the, I want to say, well, this happened twice, but to me, it was the Colts game where Andrew Luck fumbled it, picked it up, and
Donald Brown fumbled it, bounced to Andrew Luck, and he jumped over.
Then you've got the Mariota pass to himself touchdown game.
Yeah, that
or
sucks.
is that one forward progress game?
That's forward progress.
Forward progress.
The pass was something. I think it's forward progress.
And we're going to continue.
Yeah.
Then you had the no touchdown game.
Yeah.
That was when the Steelers kicked.
Yeah, they won all on field goals.
6 field goals.
Yep.
Then the Mahomes era started. Then it was Jet Chip Wasp.
Yeah, there's
Wasp.
Wasp.
That's how I remember. I remember that. I remember Jet Chip Wasp for the Chiefs. If you want to go more specifically, the Tennessee Titans game, it was the Mahomes run.
Yeah,
at the end of the first half, Mahomes ended up scoring a touchdown.
The Texans game was the second quarter.
But that one, there's so many. That's
there,
why
there are.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I'm just talking about how you like specific plays. Like to me, I don't know if there was one play in this game that you will remember it. You know, a lot of people are trying to push. And I know Andy Reid sat down with Peter King.
Yeah. And
you know the play call that left Tony wide open and Sky Moore wide open. They call it corn dog.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
great play name.
And Peter King in the interview said, you don't call it that.
It's like you don't say that in the huddle, right? And he's like, no, Pat in the huddle says, we're running corn dog.
Yeah, you call out the formation and you said we're going to do corn dog because it was a different play because it was different personnel and different setup. Looked the same but wasn't quite the same.
Mm.
And he said, yeah, they call it corn dog. I don't think I'll remember that as corn dog. I really don't. I think I will remember this game as the one incompletion game.
Yeah.
In the second half, the Kansas City Chiefs had the football 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
They had it 4 times. 10 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. 9 plays, 75-yard touchdown. 3 plays, 5 yards, touchdown. 12 plays, 66 yards, touchdown. That's it. Just 4 possessions. When you got it, you had to do something with it.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs scored on every possession and did not get stopped. At the end of the game, that field goal by the Chiefs was not a stop by the Eagles because they kicked the football with 6 seconds left. Okay. That's not a stop. The Chiefs holding the Eagles to a field goal was a stop. That kept it a 1-score game. When you can keep it a 1-score game, that's a big deal. And then they had to punt. But the Chiefs, like maybe you'll remember it as the Nick Bolton return I don't know. But for me, I am going to remember it as Patrick Mahomes went 13 of 14 throwing the football in the second half.
And his one incompletion was a throwaway.
But 13 of 14.
Yeah.
Didn't, that was
impressive.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It wasn't one specific play. It was just.
If I'm going to remember this overall, like as a whole conceptualized game, it's the second half and the way they performed and all that. One specific play, I don't think they're true. It is why it's my number one play of the game. The Pacheco 3rd and 1 run on that final drive is so important because of also the context of the situation of you need to keep the drive alive because if you get stopped there, you're probably that's tie game late. You would have to consider punting, but also all year it was why did the Chiefs have to be in 3rd and 1?
Yeah,
they're so bad at this. They only completed 50%. They were almost the worst team in the league at 3rd and 1. And so that play and that moment was sickening to be a part of because you're like, they're just not built for this year. For some reason, they can't do it. And in the biggest moment, Andy Reid pulls out a great play call and they converted a 3rd and short. Their bugaboo all year was 3rd and short. And the biggest moment, they had to have it. They converted a 3rd and short. I don't think that's talked about enough, given the season-long context. It's really fun, though.
It is really fun.
It's great.
Yeah. Good problem to have. How do you remember this Super Bowl?
Great problem to have.
Super
How do
Bowl.
you remember your team winning a title?
Yeah.
What do you do? Oh, I love this problem.
It's not as simple as Jet Chip was.
No.
But, corn dog, it's funny.
Corn dog's so
It's funny. I mean, if you want to have a T-shirt that just has a big corn dog on it, and Andy says,
gonna need to add a corn dog on a shirt to my collection and the 0 sacks on a shirt to my collection.
The corn dog and Andy Reid saying, "Let's run corn dog."
Yes.
Do we have time to run corn dog? Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with the mic drop. Time for the mic drop here on Mic'd Up. What do you got, Fulton?
Kansas City Chiefs are once again your Super Bowl champions as they win Super Bowl 57. This is a feeling that I implore all of you to never get tired of and also never take for granted. This is enjoyable. Your team is champions. It's just such a beautiful feeling.
Scoring 35 points in an AFC, NFC title game, either one, or the Super Bowl, got you a win 39 times in a row. Not 40.
He's inevitable.
He is inevitable. Coming up next, we got 580 Sports Talk. We carry on the Victory Monday with 580 WWW.